Hello and welcome to week 12 in Society and Technology, and we're taking on chapter 12, Technology and Our World. So, for this chapter, I introduced to you a couple of mega sources of information. First is the UN Development Plan, and this is how the United Nations works with countries to help them modernize, and the procedures and whatnot, introducing you to that's a thing. So countries that wish to modernize and bring their populations into the modern era, or to recover from wartime, or to all of that stuff, they can work with the United Nations to get some help doing that. So the first discussion is to look at that plan and consider all the ways in which technology makes that happen, particularly compared to if we were trying to do something international decades ago, how difficult it would be compared to now that we have such advanced technologies. And just kind of throwing it out there, discussing about the role of technology, and I mean everything. I'll say I mean everything, because it could also mean even just the stuff like we talked about this last week, which to date was one of my favorite discussions ever. People posting tools that they're using that are both well designed and not well designed. It's just such an interesting sharing of that info, and we had such a broad array of different items. But the tools of yesteryear compared to the tools of today. How do we dig a hole compared to today? Just sometimes it could just be that. Other times, of course, communication, the way we fund things around the world, kind of thing like that. So that kind of discussion about how is technology really playing a huge part in the furthering of international development. The second discussion is an introduction to another sort of mega concept, and that is the Anthropocene. Now, the Anthropocene is a theoretical construct that says that the global history, the history of Earth, is in a period of time when humankind, anthro, is having a significant impact on the global climate, the global landmass, the water. It's an epoch in the history of the Earth. Now, up until recently, according to the fans of Anthropocene, humans have had very little impact on the Earth. It is only during the industrial age and up till today that we are having a much bigger impact on the Earth. Now, I'm going to share with you that there are organizations in our world, mostly geological organizations, that measure out the epochs of the Earth and its formation. You might have learned that in earth sciences, and you have all these different epochs. Those advocates for the Anthropocene sent in their request for the geological societies to recognize the Anthropocene, and it was rejected. So, from the geological point of view, they felt that this was not, they still pretty much felt that human beings are pretty insignificant. The world's going to do whatever it's going to do, and we might be making a whole lot of a mess, but we're not going to consider it so significant that we're going to call it an epoch in the global history. Certainly impactful for us and our society and whatnot, but they didn't see it as an epoch. The Anthropocene idea still exists. There are still advocates wanting to continue that particular sense of awareness. And even though, and they're going to try again, but even though it hasn't made that epoch sort of status, we can reflect upon how has our technology changed our world in such a way that it might get increasingly more difficult to live on our planet. All of those things, whether it be climate, whether it be resource, whether it be deforestation, whether it be the extinction of animals, or the quality of food, all of those things, what are we doing with technology that may actually be to our detriment, even though the geologists didn't accept the Anthropocene. Now, there is a movie that was done, remarkably done, about the Anthropocene, just showing images and people talking about with passion about how humankind has impacted the planet. It's a very sobering, a very scary in some ways film. It's very real. There's no controversy about this. There's no controversy really about the global warming that's clearly happening. The controversy is whether or not it's because we're driving cars and what we can do about it. And certainly social change, no matter what the reason, is always controversial. But the fact that the planet is getting warmer is a stark reality, and it looks at some of that, but it doesn't just look at that. It looks at land use and how much green space we have and how that's important for humanity to thrive. So that's the discussion. The first is on the UN development, and then we have the Anthropocene. I'm also posting the next Tangle. Now, we just went through the election, and as I said in there, some people might be thrilled. My neighbor is thrilled. He had Trump signs all over the place. My Harris sign is still out there, sad. I'm not going to joke about that. I have my concerns about where we're going, but some people are happy, some people are sad. The Tangle takes a look at this, the fact that Donald Trump is now the next president, and takes on the left, right, what's going on with this, what should we expect, these kinds of things. And just like Tangle, just like Tangle itself, this is a even-handed, informational type experience. I'd like the discussion to be that same way as well. Even though there are some pretty considerable ideas floating around right now that some people may find very startling and worrisome. So, that said, I give you that next Tangle discussion. There's only going to be one more after that. So get into that Tangle. And I do want to give you a heads up that there is another special assignment that is going to be due next week. And you should take this week to take a look at that. It is the Cultural Identity assignment. It really takes in the sense of how much of your identity is tied to sociological factors as opposed to psychological factors. We might talk about personality or intelligence or something like that. But then we look at identity. A lot of that it's separate from those psychological processes. It's our social roles with other people. It's our family structure. It's our work. It's our place in the economy. It's our race, our gender, our sex. All of these things that are deeply within the social world, and how that affects who we are, how we use that to construct our identity. That assignment is coming up next week. Getting started on that this week would be a really good idea. There's only 2 discussions this week, so working on that assignment that is not due till next week is a good idea. In addition, there are still a number of people who have not done a proposal for their final project yet, and there are still a number of people who have a less than 100 grade on their proposal. This week I will be sending out individual emails. This is my last effort to light the fire to make this go. You must do a proposal for the final project. This is the information literacy project or the service learning project, and in order to get it approved. Otherwise, whatever you submit doesn't count. So this is really, really important in terms of the structure of this class. There's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of time for you to reach out and ask me about service learning instead of doing an information literacy project, which entails doing library research and whatnot. You can volunteer someplace. If you want to explore that, you can go look for resources that are available at KV to get some help with that. You can reach out to me and you can get this project done. And I'll tell you, I find that the service learning project, the information literacy projects are great, but the service learning projects have had more impact on people's lives when they've done that instead of doing the information literacy project. So those emails will be going out. I know a bunch of you are up and running. Make sure you follow the instructions that are in there. You can't use websites for your resources. You have to find peer-reviewed resources. A lot of the topics that people are looking into, you're going to need some help from a librarian to find the right kind of peer resources that are available for those topics, whether it's in the field of sociology or political science or economics. You're going into areas that are not even my expertise, so I'm not even the best source to help on those particular projects. But getting to the data, and you are simply a reporter at this point in this kind of project, I'm not interested in you coming to conclusions other than this is what I found. That's it. You're a reporter. You go out, you're finding what's being said about these topics, controversial and not. You gather them all together and saying, here it is. This is what everybody's saying about it. This is what the research is saying. You don't have to draw any conclusions at all. That's why it's called an information literacy paper instead of a research paper, which includes a conclusion. Your conclusion is just going to be a wrap-up of what you found. Much different assignment. Okay, so these things are coming up. We're in week 12. Look at the calendar. There's only a few more weeks left. Let's end strong. And if you're one of those people that hasn't put in or hasn't completed your proposal process yet, please do that as soon as you can. I'm going to be going through those, sending out emails. Hopefully, I'll send you an email and you say, hey, I'm on it. I just did it. Go grade it. And we can start that process. So read all about that in the special assignment section in the course book. Everything is explained there for both the information literacy and the service learning, and for the cultural identity assignment is all explained and outlined in the special assignment section of the course book. So get into that. And that big week. And so I will see you folks online, and I will see you here next time.